Hello, Daisy.
Hello, Shera.
How are you, my friend?
Lovely. I am
I
lovely.
I like that. I like that. Happy Wednesday. I did not put on. I gotta fix. See, I had my technical errors of the day. Of course, I got to make sure that I do all the things. We're not quite there yet where we have the audience that we can hire a producer to do the things. I would like that, including the fact that I really think we need merch. I'm not quite sure how we're going to do it, but I, I want merch. So we gotta figure that one out. Got to figure out how that happens. Hi, Heather. She's the best. I love it. Thank you. Well, let us get started. I want to say welcome to the Glass House, where we look at business from the inside and the outside to expose what is embedded and what's actually embodied inside organizations. I am Shera Haliczer. I am the founder and chief momentum officer of Engage 3P.
And I am Daisy Watkins, founder of DW Concepts and LumaPath.ai.
Very cool. I always forget that. Uh, if you are here today, I say this every week and I mean it. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being with us. We know there are lots and lots of options for out there for you to choose from, and we do not take that lightly. We really love having you here. In that, we would like to make that as much of a conversation as possible. So please give us your comments. I'm begging LinkedIn to make this more interactive or find a way to do this differently. I'd also love to know if you'd like us to move to a different platform, because I'm open for that too. Let us know where you are. Send us your comments and we'll put them up on the screen. We want this to be a conversation, not just a broadcast. So let us know. Tell us what you think, which would be great. And Heather, thank you for kicking this off. Today's episode is a little bit different again. It's just me and my partner, Daisy. I am excited. And we're going to talk about something that we've, in all fairness, been circling now for 13 weeks. This is episode 14. Yay. And we planned a lot to talk about, Daisy and I, and we're going to do that. We're going to talk all about that. However, Daisy, has this happened to you? Like, if you're going to buy a new car, you end up seeing that car everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Right. Or whatever. Like, if you think about something and then you see it everywhere. As we were preparing for this, every single social media thing I got was always about leadership, right? And so I don't know if it's a chicken or an egg. Was it that it prompted me to think about talking about this because I was seeing it everywhere, or because we're hearing it so much and this seems to be the topic of the day, but everybody's talking about it? I think that it is from a lot of different places. I think that it is because of how difficult it is right now in business and all the layoffs that we're hearing about, especially in high tech. I think it's about people are struggling to really understand, kind of get their footing and know what's going on. But I keep hearing about leadership. And so we're going to talk about a lot of that today. I want to start with this, though, and I want to get your opinion, and for anybody who's on. I saw a social media post today, and the story's bigger, and it's going to end up being an episode. But the thing that she said that was really incredible, and by the way, Heather, you're going to love this one. She said the difference between a leader and a manager is comes down to a really interesting visual. Think about a conductor and an orchestra. The conductor is the leader, right? If somebody in the orchestra doesn't play something correctly, the conductor doesn't jump onto the stage, grab the instrument, and play it. The conductor leads that musician to be better, right? To do it right. I would argue that the conductor probably doesn't play that instrument or any other instrument for that matter, but knows how to lead the musicians to do the magic that they do. That is one of the best analogies I've ever seen or heard when it comes to what a great leader really is, right? And so I want to kind of sit with that for a minute. Love to know what you think about that, Daisy, obviously, before we get into the rest of it that we planned, because this, of course, is impromptu.
Absolutely. So that's definitely a reason to pause right there, Shera. And before either of us answer that question, we have to clear something up here.
Okay.
Because honestly, And like you said, we've been throwing the word leadership around as if everybody hearing it pictures the same thing, right? They
Right.
do not. So when we say leadership, most people picture a manager, a C-suite title, someone with direct reports, someone with a corner office or its remote equivalent, right?
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
is what leadership is. Leadership is influence.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
I don't agree with that. Totally.
A senior, let's just say a senior specialist whose technical judgment shapes every product decision is leading. A consultant whose framework gets adopted across the entire industry is leading. A
Hmm.
solopreneur building a business with no direct reports is leading.
Hmm.
The team member whose presence in a meeting changes the temperature of the room is leading.
Yeah.
If you have influence, you are leading. The org chart has nothing to do with it. That's how I see it.
Oh, you're absolutely right. What's that expression? You don't have to manage people. You don't have to manage other people in order to be a leader, right? We lead individually. I've always believed in that. I've always thought that that was really kind of one of the most powerful things when we think about how people engage in business. And
Mhm.
yes, absolutely, we can lead in
Leading.
many ways, right? I think that that is really important to understand. So I saw something, let me find it. I saw something too that I loved. Let me just throw this image up there. And where did it go? Oh, thank you, Kay. We do have assistants, which is really wonderful. So let's look at this for just a moment, right? Let's look. I mean, this is, I'm going to read this out loud. I think everyone can see it, but this is so powerful. You never forget the boss who cheered you on long after you left the team. Now, I have said something for well over 20 years. We're not going to discuss how many because I'm not admitting to being old enough. But I have a very funny story about that too. But I've always said, without a doubt, I measure the success in my life, both personally and professionally, based on the relationships that I build and maintain. That has been my mantra. And so I have a little story that we'll talk about later that relates to this as well, but that's really powerful, right? I mean, what what is a great leader if not someone who's your cheerleader, who
Mhm.
wants you to be the best that you can be, who wants to ensure your success if you're part of that team, or for that matter, based on what you said, someone who with whom we work, right? And I always say this, I've been a tennis player my entire life. I started playing when I was like 5 years old. When my nieces were little and they wanted to play tennis with me when they were like, I don't know, 5 and 7, I was like, all right, fine. But all I did was run around the room and chase the balls, right? I mean, I run around the court and chase the balls. I didn't play tennis with a 5-year-old. When I play tennis, I want to play against the pro. I want to play Serena. Not that I can play Serena, but I always want to be challenged. I want in the room, I want, when I'm leading a team, I want them to be 100 times smarter than I am and more capable. And like the conductor, do things that I don't know how to do. I want to surround myself with people who are going to thrive around me and with me supporting that. That's what I think a great leader is. I mean, I'd love for everyone to put in the chat, who was the best leader that you've ever had and what did they do? And we can talk about it. But for me, that goes without saying, right? Like that's kind of the standard of what I expect to happen.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It it's very interesting how people define not just themselves as a leader, but how they
Mhm.
execute as a leader. So all those are a lot of different things as well. So
Yeah.
um,
And I know we planned this and I'm jumping all over the place because I get really excited about this and I want to, okay, wait, I need to look at these comments. This is so exciting. So first of all, I want to say hello to Dr. Ollie. Thank you for joining from Plano, Texas. And somebody, Nicole, hi, Nicole. Someone from Paris. That's exciting. Who's in Paris? It just says LinkedIn user, so I can't see. So I'm very excited about that. That's really cool.
welcome
Um,
everyone.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's really amazing, right? If we don't define leadership by a certain criteria, and you, I think, did a really great job of kind of expanding on that, right? All of
Mhm.
the different things, what does it mean to be a leader? Then okay, let's talk about what brought us here today and what we were thinking about when it came to why did we want to start talking about that. And I'm going to share another image here quickly because I think that we want to kind of call out some of those amazing guests that we've had over the past 13 weeks. If you're not here on this screen right now, it's not because we don't love you and we don't think you're amazing, but these three really popped up for us. And I'm going to start with Barbara, because Barbara said something really incredible when it came to communication, which was, we can't be a great leader and communicate effectively with others if we don't first communicate well with ourselves. That was the takeaway that I had from that episode that really struck me. Right. And by the way, if you haven't seen all the other ones, you can find them on my website. You can find them on YouTube. We'll share the link on, and anything. You can go back to all of the other episodes, and you can connect with any of them via these links, via these QR codes. But that was so powerful for me. That really kind of struck a chord, right? How do we talk to ourselves and what do we say? And how long can we fake it if we're not kind and generous with ourselves? How can we do it with others?
So, and that lands harder actually when you watch what happens next. When leaders skip the inner work, with what you talked
Mhm,
about,
mhm,
making sure that you take care of yourself and try to lead through difficult moments anyway, which
mhm.
brings us up now to Laura from episode 5. Laura gave us a line I have quoted almost every week since. She
Really?
said, the embodied message is, we care about our people.
Yeah.
The embodied reality is, figure it out yourself. She was talking about a specific thing, a reduction in workforce when we had her at the show.
Oh,
The
yeah.
people who stay after a layoff, right? But the truth she named is bigger than the riff. It applies to any difficult moment a leader has to navigate. A reorg, a merger, a bad quarter, a client loss, a team
Mhm,
member leaving, a failed launch. The hard moments are where the leadership actually shows itself. And I've
mhm,
seen this through examples. I've seen this through my entire career with different leaders in front of me and
mhm,
for myself as well, right? I
mhm.
noticed those changes as well. Anyone can lead during a great quarter. The question is what your team experiences, which I just explained, from you when things get ugly. That was my observation. That is when the embedded values become embodied
Right.
or they get exposed as a theater.
Yeah. Oh, I completely agree. So going back to what we said in the beginning about what's happening in these layoffs, especially in big tech, right? Tens of thousands of people or thousands of people are losing their jobs. What is the organization doing about that, right? How are they handling that? How are they dealing with those who are left behind? What's happening to those, who are leaving? I mean, this isn't one or two people. This is thousands and thousands of people who are losing their jobs right now. And through no fault of their own, right? I mean, they're blaming AI and all sorts of stuff, which is again another conversation. Um, but I think that that really shows. I think the story we talked about, we did comparisons of different situations that we found in the Outside In story, and the one that struck home for me on that episode was Airbnb, right? That was the one that really stood out, where the CEO of Airbnb had to, I mean, it was Corona,
Yeah.
nobody was going anywhere, right? And how did he handle something clearly that was a necessity? They had no income because of what was going on. How did he handle the organization versus, I don't remember the name of the company. I think it was a mortgage company or something that we compared to. Yeah, that I'd never heard of. And I think that those stand out, right? Those moments stand out. And I think people remember these things
Yeah.
forever, right?
Absolutely. And to tie it back into what you said, how did he orchestrate, right? How did he conduct during
Right.
the moment? And again, it's the to wrap it like also with what she said is like, how do you show up when things
I-
get tough? Really, that's the bottom line.
But if we tie those two together, right? So to your point, right? It's and to Laura's point is it's really easy when it's good, right? When we're all celebrating and numbers are great and everything's fantastic, it's really easy to lead. It's really easy to manage. It's really easy to do everything. It's when things get difficult that our true colors show up. So if we tie Barbara back to Laura, right? If we can't ourselves regulate and handle things well. And I think the point of today was to kind of share our stories and for you guys to share your stories. And I'm going to put some stuff up here in the comments in a minute. But I've been in those situations, right? I've been in situations where things are really bad. And I think back to, and I try to block it out, but I think back to what did the bad leaders in my world do? Right? They blamed everyone else. They didn't take ownership of anything that happened, which is a huge pet peeve for me, right? Like if someone can't take ownership when they're in a leadership position, that tells me everything about who they are. And how do they handle then the disappointing parts of it, right? How do they, I mean, I spent, over 10 years in sales, which is a very dynamic type of organization. I would argue too that every organization is a sales organization. Somebody's always selling something, but directly working with clients and selling product. And whilst I wasn't responsible for that part of it, I was a contributing member of those teams every time we had a deal. When it didn't do well, what did they do? Did they own it at the leadership level and say, hey, here's what happened. Let's talk about it. Or in one of the situations that I saw, they just blatantly lied about it. I mean, I had a situation, this is so funny. I don't know if I've talked about it here, but I was leading a change management team, a global change management team for about 4 years. And we were doing a number of different types of change management. And one of them happened to be an implementation, a software implementation. And it was an unmitigated disaster. It just failed. I mean, I think I talked about this. One of the last conversations I had with the client, who was very happy with me and my team, he loved my team, but the actual physical implementation was a failure. And one of the last things he said to me is, listen, I want you to be, this is the client, said, I want you to be aware there's going to be conversations with lawyers if this doesn't work out. And I don't want you, Shera, to think it's you or your team, right? It has nothing to do with what you guys are doing. Please know that. Okay, that felt great, right? He liked us. We tried to do everything we could. Fast forward 3 or 4 months later in this massive organization, and the guy that was leading the whole team, actually went and sent out an email saying, hey, you want to hear about this amazing implementation that we did and how we were so successful in this project with XYZ company? And I saw the email and I sent it to a colleague of mine and I said, is this a joke? How is that leadership? I don't, and I'm not trying to make anybody wrong. I'm not trying to beat anybody up, but own it. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to make a big announcement that it was a failure, but you certainly don't go up on a stage and tell everybody something was great when it wasn't. That doesn't work, right? So I just find it so interesting. So, matching Barbara with Laura, I think was a really good kind of connection for me. I don't know how you feel about that.
Well, no, I for every single guest that we have, there's some sort of connection to not just what we can relate to from our experiences and what we are probably going to experience moving forward. And that's why we have such special guests, so that we learn from them as well, right? So there's little lessons learned from our past, and also how we're going to apply it for our future if we haven't thought about it yet. And really, it's to open up your mind to what your definitions are of the different topics that we have and how you put that together. So to answer your question, every single person that we've had has really touched our lives in some way, shape, or form, or is relatable to different facets of our audiences as well. And I'm pretty sure that if we have maybe 2 or 3 of these guests all at the same time, there was so much conversation to be had. Could you imagine that, Shera? Imagine that, bringing 2 or 3 of the guests and just start talking. Imagine all the conversations that come out of that. So right now we're just patching and bridging it all together. And I'm crawling out of my skin up from excitement because I've
Yes.
learned so much over all the episodes that we've been doing and still continue to learn, even just from the comments we're getting. So Dr. Ollie here has said something. So is it okay, Shera, if I read it a little bit?
Yeah, please do.
A leader is also the keeper of the vision, whether it's an orchestra, to your point, a team, an organization. Part of his or her work then is to ensure that the vision remains central to the work to be accomplished.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Right. I mean, I think that that's what's really incredible. If we use this orchestra analogy, which again, I'm loving. And like I said, I just heard it today, so I'm letting it settle in. But, the idea that the conductor doesn't play an instrument, right? Can't jump on the stage, typically can't jump on the stage and play how many different instruments are in an orchestra. Relies on them to be their best and do their best and guides them, doesn't necessarily write the music, right? If they're doing classical music or whatever, right? They're interpreting that. So one could argue, why do you need them? And yet it's one of the most important roles, right?
To an orc, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
No, not at all.
to a conductor as well, he has to hear all the sounds, right?
Yeah.
Because that's part of what he's orchestrating. He needs to know what the sound of each instrument should sound like as he conducts. So similar thing to a leader, something just went to my brain, is you have to listen and have into not just even intuition, but being very, very observant of your surroundings and what's happening in your organization. I think that's also a good analogy for being a conductor.
Yeah, I think it's incredible, right? It's the more I think about this, I mean, I wish I had seen this like days ago and not just a few hours ago, because now it's all kind of bubbling up. But the idea that you're right, the conductor is focused on many different sounds, right?
Mhm.
And so being able to point those out, to have to stay super focused, to have to be really supportive of all of the musicians, because he or she can't do that job, right? Certainly can't go out and do it all. Yeah, it's really incredible. And this one's gonna stick with me for a long time, because I think that's what's so important. Our third guest that I thought of for this, that was our first guest, and my dear friend Josh Allen Dykstra, said a few things about leadership that I really loved, and it was how a leader shows up in the work of moving people through change. So I have done change management for many years. I have developed a methodology called change embodiment that I'm happy to talk about for hours and hours and hours for anyone who wants to hear about it. But fundamentally, the notion that most change gets embedded in an organization, but never fully gets embodied in the organization, right? Meaning that it's very easy to say, hey, we're going to use this new software or have this new policy or do this new procedure, but does it really become inherently part of the organization? And more importantly, the people who are responsible to do it. So my methodology looked at, what did I see that was failing in change management? And that was, it wasn't involving the people. It wasn't making sure they were ready and they were capable and they were motivated and they had the intention and attention to really take it on at a number of different levels. And like I said, I can go really deep on this. And I think the idea of in our lives, we experience change every single day.
Mhm.
Every single day, something changes, right? Big and small. How do we ensure that we're getting through that? How do we adapt to that? How do we accept that? And Josh was saying, what a great leader will do is really be that cheerleader, again, that conductor of change and leading by example. And one of the things that we talked about we did our outside story in, for those of you who have not heard about that, and we're not doing it today because we're talking about so many of our own experiences. But the idea in that segment is that we want to, depending on what the topic is, find something that's not related to us personally. What do we see in the world, right? Because Daisy, as you know, because you tell me this all the time, nothing is hidden anymore, right? That's why we call this the glass house, because everything is exposed to everyone. And what else do we see out there? And so our very first outside story in was this Reddit story about a woman who was writing a resignation letter because, and she posted this whole thing. She was a senior engineer in technology. She had 15 years in tech, and she was being forced to use AI, but there was no real plan in place to do it, right? There was no real understanding of what it was going to be, how it was going to work. It was just AI for the sake of AI. Again, another topic. But and she saw a flaw and she tried to talk about it with her boss. She tried to, and they didn't want to hear it. They were just not going to listen. And so to your point, a great boss, a great leader is at least going to listen. At least, okay, I have to say this. I'm sorry, I'm blathering on like a crazy person, but I had a conversation with someone the other day. Let me see if I can remember it exactly. She was working for, I'm trying to think who this was now because I've talked to so many people, but she said something to her boss, no longer her boss. And he said to her, his exact words to her were, "Listen, little girl, that's not my problem. I won't be here in 2 years."
Wow.
I was so shook by that I I didn't know where to go with it. I couldn't get past the "listen, little girl" statement, quite frankly.
I have to say, did he really say, listen, little girl?
His exact words. "Listen, little girl, this doesn't matter to me. I won't be here in 2 years."
Okay.
Now, let's break that down for a second. Okay.
Please
Number
do.
one. Number one. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Oh my God. Oh my God. Just no. And then if we take it to what we're talking about now, Heather's making an oh my God face. Here, I'll put Heather's comment because I think that says it all. There we go. That's it.
And Nicole's mind is blown.
Oh, Nicole's got a mind. Yep, exactly. Right. I love it. So she was trying to tell him something that she saw coming down that was going to affect the business for the next 3 to 5 years. And so forget the first part of it, which is atrocious.
Yeah.
The next part of it is, as a great leader, a leader has ownership of the business, right? You said it earlier, right? That was something that you said earlier. So the idea that Nicole said you might not be here in 2 months. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Or 2 days. 2 days. But a leader has ownership of that business. It doesn't matter if I'm going to be here in 2 minutes or 2 days. I want that very first image that we showed about not being in the business anymore, not being a part of that team. What does that say about someone? He didn't care about the business. If he cared about the business and cared about the team, he'd say, "Wow, that's interesting. Let me understand this. I may not be here, but you guys may be here. The business might be here, right? How are we going to ensure that the business thrives beyond my tenure, right?" And crazy conversation. Like, it's so many levels. It's wrong on so many basic levels, but then understanding what that means from a leadership perspective, right? And so I think that's why leadership is so much more than, it's beyond managing, right? That's not really what it is at all. It's so much more than that. And it encompasses so many other things that, quite frankly, we don't talk about all the time, right? We don't address all the time, which is really unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. And and everything, just like in everything we do, it's all about relationship building, right? Or how even if you don't know them at even a slight personal thing about them, but it's how you project also to your leaders below you and how the rest of the staff sees that relationship, because their managers, supervisors, whoever they report, whatever they call who they report to for their task, will tell that story to them and will share that, because frustration will come out. And and we all know when we are in an environment where we're all in the same office, right? Like before, I mean, obviously that's clearly not the same dynamics now since COVID. we are family basically in a way, because that's
Yeah.
who we breathe the same air in for the 8 hours of your day, every single day that you go into the office. So it doesn't matter if you're a direct report to, that's feed in not just to the energy, but to how people, that leader to that leader to down to you. It all kind of trickles down. And like you said, there's the humming sound that follows as it orchestrates down the road. So let's put it
Yeah.
that way, right?
Well, the thing that just the vision just came to mind. I'm such a visual thinker, and everything for me just kind of I play these movies in my head. I think all the time. I think that what the vision that just came to me when you were talking about that, and kind of the story that I'm telling that this woman told me that I can't remember who it was, but it stuck with me. The story itself stuck with me so much. It'll come back to me. But the thing that came to mind for me immediately, for those of us who know, we know. Remember the commercial for the Fabergé, and like she tells two friends, and it was like that visual of da 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 da, and the same woman was like 1,000 times on the screen.
Yeah.
Do you remember this? Like, and she'll tell two friends, and she'll tell two friends, and she'll tell two friends. That to me is now kind of the modern day version. AI is the modern day version of that, right? The kind of unbridled whatever. So this conversation will be online, right? We'll be on the website, we'll be on YouTube, we'll be here, we'll be on LinkedIn, and this story and this transcript will live and could potentially come out, and someone could end up Googling or AIing. What do we call it now? Prompting. I don't know what we call it. Googling? I don't know. And this thing, I don't know, what do we call it? What's the verb for doing something on searching for something on AI? Does anyone know what that is? Is there a term for that yet?
Just research.
Research? We'll say something, and then this pops up. This video will pop up. This clip will pop up of me saying, and this woman said to me, he said, hey, right? And she'll tell two friends, and she'll tell friends, and tell two friends. And I hope you guys all tell the story to other people, etc. So I think that so many things in this are true. Nothing is hidden. Nothing is secret anymore, right? With social media, everything is everywhere. Yeah. And so I think to be a great leader is to also be mindful of that, right? Because you can't be, pardon my expression, you can't be an asshole and not expect it to come out somewhere. It's going to come out.
Sorry,
I mean, I'm sorry, but you're not going to be able to hide it anymore.
No, you can't. Yeah.
I had a partner, one of my very first law firms, my very first law firm. I had a partner who treated, I won't say where this was. I won't say anything. He's probably dead now anyway, because I'm old, but he treated his summer associates like garbage. I mean, and for those of you, Nicole, you know this, for those of us that have been in the law firm world, it's a dynamic. Okay. It's its own dynamic and its own world. And this guy is kind of an asshole. And he treated them horribly. And even his junior associates and everybody, he was just mean and he was just awful. And he left my firm, our firm, and he went to another firm, a smaller firm, and that was based in another city. I have to be really careful here because it would be obvious if I started saying some locations and stuff, although it was 173 years ago. So who knows? Anyway, so, and he was a jerk there too. And the difference, and I loved my firm, and my firm was a great firm, but you talk about leadership. The difference in my firm is he was a big rainmaker, and that's what they cared about, and that's what was important. And so they put up with it, and they band-aided it, and they dealt with it in other ways. He went to this other firm, and the senior partner of that firm lived in another city. And when that partner in my town started being the jerk that he was, it got to administration and HR, and it got to the senior partner in the other city. That man got on a plane. He flew to our city, and he said, you will not, I don't care how much money you bring into this firm. I don't care how many clients you have. I don't care who you think you are. You will not behave this way. The entire legal community heard about it, and everyone was in shock. And that set the stage. People flooded going to this other firm because they knew they'd be treated well. They knew that they had a great environment, right? This was, like I said, 173 years ago, long before AI, before Google, before Was it before email? I don't even know. It was before email. But
AOL. Yeah, he said AOL at that time.
sorry, old. But that set a stage. And again, 173 years later, I was still telling that story because that was profound. That was profound. He was not going to put up with it. He was not going to allow that to happen. So when I was building change embodiment, what naturally came out of that, and the reason I built it, and you've heard me talk about this so much, but the reason I built it is because change management didn't work. I saw it, I knew it, I led it, I knew it wasn't working. And then I did the research and saw it didn't work. And as I was building it, what naturally came out of that was the understanding of leadership embodiment, because it's the same thing. The foundation of that is, do we care about ticking the box that we did the thing, right? So in change management, you create a risk analysis, you create a communication plan, you create a training plan, you analyze who needs to tick, 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 tick. We did it. Great, success. It's finished, right? We trained everybody. They went live. It's good. We're done. And it wasn't. And I knew it wasn't. And that was the problem. And so that's why I said it's got to be about the humans and it's got to be about beyond and all that kind of stuff. And then I thought about it from a leadership perspective. Why is it that that was okay? And I realized that leadership embodiment was the companion to that, was the clear understanding that the same is true. So most leadership development, for those of you who are in it, I apologize, I'm not here to insult it, but what I knew to be true is that, again, an organization will spend 50,000, 100,000, hundreds of thousands of dollars doing leadership development, and they tick the box. We trained you. We told you how to behave differently. We paid a lot of money to tell you how to be a different kind of leader. But where's the follow through? And again, I'll tell an interesting story about this. I have a very dear friend, amazing human, that was in a big tech company. He recently left and is doing something really exciting and new, and I'm so happy for him. And their organization, 20,000 people, decided to do Brene Brown, Dare to Lead. Okay. Great program. And the CEO of the company actually knows Brene personally, brought her in, paid well in excess of 7 figures for her to come in and do this organizationally. And he was excited. He was beyond thrilled. I remember him telling me about it. He was like, I can't wait. He was an executive at the time. They flew like 200 and some odd of their senior executive team off to Arizona to a hotel, and they put him up and they did the thing. And Brene Brown came and they had like 2 days with her. And they go back and they get the workbooks and they get the books and they start doing it. And he's in it. He drank the Kool-Aid. He's like all in. And he said to me within weeks, not months, not years, within weeks, he said, it's not sticking. We're supposed to like start every meeting with something she tells him to do. It's not there. Nobody's doing it. Nobody's talking the talk anymore. Nobody's walking the walk, right? And so that's where I wanted to make sure that, just like any kind of change, because leadership development is change, that there is another level there that really emphasizes what it means to develop leadership skills. And Daisy, entirely to your point, you don't have to manage people to be a great leader.
No.
So it happens at the individual level.
Correct. And your consistency in showing up, not just as a leader, but as an employee too, that you're trying to help them embody that change, right? In some way, shape, or form as your message, right? And so it really stems from the acceptance that there is change that needs to happen. And then the next part is, once you accept it, how, not just the benefits, but how is that going to change you and the way you now are going to communicate? Like, there's a lot of different layers to that. I mean, we can peel all the onions to what goes through the human psyche about that. But the point is, you either have to accept change, make the change, and be consistent to make that change or to meet the goal of what that change is supposed to do. So I think not just as a leader, but as you embody that and as you project that into your organization and to whoever you are, whoever you're leading, is also very visible to how you're projecting that. So a lot of the connections to how our three guests kind of aligned and how the process to all that. And clearly you want to kind of tie that all in, Shira, like you said that really well with like how uh, from Barb to Laura and then to Josh, kind of how
Yeah.
these three kind of talked about leadership in a lot of different shape or form, but each has to go through its own journey and
Yeah.
process to go through all that. So
Yeah.
um,
I would assert that they really complement each other. It's like a kind of a full circle moment of understanding what that is and how they really kind of hit on different aspects. I mean, there's so many. I love what Dr. Ali said. Every leader leaves residue. Okay, the bathtub ring, that's a little gross. Again, visual thinker, yuck. I like a stand-up shower. When totally off topic for a moment, I was on the road for over 10 years and was living in hotels or whatever, and it got to the point that I realized very early in that part of my career that I only want a stand-up shower, and I don't ever want to I won't have a shower curtain in my house because I saw the most disgusting things. So yeah, just FYI.
I am with you on that one. I'm with you.
I wish I knew who this LinkedIn user was that is now leaving, and I don't know who it was from Paris. I'm so excited, whoever you are. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But no, I think I think it's really amazing, and I think that every single person brings something so unique to their environment and to their community and to everything they're doing, and it is about building trust. Listen, I'm gonna go back to what you and I talked about day one: authenticity, and can't be a great leader without that. Barbara calls it not being authentic, being, oh shoot, I've already forgotten. What did she call it?
I was thinking about it.
Barbara, don't hate us.
Don't hate us. We love you. We listened to you. We just didn't think of the.
I'm drawing a total blank and I forgot what it was. But being true to yourself, right? Coming to the table as your authentic self and being trusted. And that goes back to taking ownership, right? It's okay. I worked with someone once who just answered yes to everything. Everything. Yep, yep, no problem. Yep, yep.
Oh, that's a habit. That's bad.
It's so crazy, right? We would be like doing demos of software and they're like, can your product do this? Yes. Can your product do that? Yes, yes, yeah. Because he didn't want to say no for fear that then they would say, oh, we don't want it. And this is so funny. So it's on my website and somebody called me once that they said they called me the why detective. And I answer every question with another question. Like they'll say, does your platform do this? And I said, well, why do you want to do that? They'd be like, what? And I said, well, why do you want to do this? I mean, think about it from an HR perspective, right? Yes, it is transparency, but think about it from an HR perspective, and this is the one example that stood out for me. This one HR leader said, does your platform do performance management? And I said, what are you doing? And she kind of gave me this look. And I said, there's no judgment in this conversation. However, are you doing it because you want to tick a box so you can say you did performance management and have something? Are you doing it because you want to develop your people and you want to create development plans and do goal setting? Are you doing it because you're looking to manage your comp program and you need data to feed into compensation and ultimately into payroll? Are you doing why do you want to do it? And then let's figure out what the best solution is for you. And that created a relationship. That started the relationship because she knew, number one, I wasn't BSing her. Because if all I ever say is yes, it can't always be yes. It's going to be no. No. Yeah. And also I'm genuinely interested in what she's trying to do. I really want to know why she wants to do this in that organization to make sure that it can be successful. Right?
No, absolutely. And it's no different than you with an employee, right? You tell them I've got an open door policy, come in with a situation, let's resolve it. But also come in with the number one, the data, because we're all about data. If data are facts, data is what you triangulate to how you're going to get a solution, right? If you have the data, if you have a missing data, then you calculate that somehow in your brain. So anyway, that's my techie math brain working right there. So if you think about it, I tell them come in with, tell me what the situation is, why you think it's a situation, and what is your possible solution for it. If you don't have a solution and go, I only know this much, that's why I'm coming to you, then you're being honest about it. But you go in there with nothing at all, with even no data, then I go back outside, come back in, and then we can actually have a discussion. Do you expect me to solve the entire problem? Then come in and say, I expect you to solve this, but that doesn't teach you any lessons on how to deal with the client in the future. So again, similar to what you did, you're pushing back to make sure that you understand how their mind works, right? So you're able to advise them or coach them or consult the right way to why that tool will work or not work, and why your logic might not be working. So good point.
Yeah. I think it's funny. A friend of mine, also from my law firm world, Nicole, you know him. James used to say to me when he ran an e-discovery team, litigation discovery team, and he used to say, I'm going to give you things to do. And if you can't do them, I'm okay with you not being able to do them, right? I want you to come to me if you have a problem. However, kind of to your point, Daisy, don't just put the monkey back on my back. Come to me with options, do some kind of work and say, hey, you asked me to do X. I've got 3 options that I came up with. I'm not sure which direction to go. What do you think? And he said, look, I may hate all of them. And I may say, this isn't what I want you to do. Here's another option. But at least he said, I know that you tried it, right? You made an effort. If you just come back and dump it back in my lap, right? And I think that was a really great leadership move, because it gave him the ability to teach them how to do something differently, how to look at it differently, how to move forward differently. I love that. And that stuck with me forever as well. I always thought that was a great thing when it came to working with teams. And that's not just as a manager, that's as a, as someone you work with every day. Like,
absolutely. Looks like Heather was paying attention to Barb's class. It's called self-fidelity.
Thank you, Heather.
Heather.
Fidelity. Barbara, if you're on and you're hearing this or whatever, I'm sorry, self-fidelity. But it's true. I love what she said. I think it is number one in being a great leader. Look, we know when we're being sold. We know inherently. I had something happen a few months ago. A woman reached out to me and asked me to be on her podcast. And I'm building a new business. I'm excited. I want the exposure. And I thought, I don't know where she got me, but okay, it's 30 minutes, And we had this wonderful conversation. And then she reached out later and said, hey, I'm selling something. And I said, look, I'm a brand new business. I'm pre-revenue. I'm, I don't have budget. She was doing lead generation or whatever. And I said, I don't have budget for that. I'm going to be really transparent with you. I can't. And she wrote back within moments and said, listen, I'm here to build a relationship with you. If you can't do it today, that's fine. Let's connect. Let's chat every once in a while. Let's talk. If you know somebody who is, guess what? I would refer her because of that, right? Because every other situation I've had, they're like, yep, tick the box, goodbye. Right? And that wasn't her thing. And maybe she's BSing me and maybe she wasn't, but at least it felt better than what everybody else does. So I'll give her a shot.
Absolutely. I mean, everybody deserves a shot, but also you have to read the room, I guess, is the main thing too.
Well, that's it, right? I mean, is anyone really reading the room? I think we're moving at this pace today. That's the other thing, right? I think a great leader really does read the room, really is paying attention to what people are saying, how they're saying it. What is it? Communication is, I don't always forget the saying. It's like 5% verbal and whatever that expression. Yeah. Heather, what's that expression? Yeah.
No, I've heard that expression before, but to your point, Shera, with how fast things are going on right now, with how so much information is out there, like you said, with the glass house inside and outside, leaders have to be aware of all these, or have some people that have worked for you that are paying attention to these things to give you that information, right? And so you can also lead from a place of knowledge, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
uh, and also awareness, I think, is one of the things that leaders should be thinking about right now. That's from my point of view anyway. If you're
Yeah.
aware of everything that's going on, because now we get all our information, our news, our data from a lot of different sources. Before we had a newspaper, right? We
Does
had,
that even exist anymore? I don't even know if
yeah, right.
physically.
And you have a newspaper, and you've got these, the Time magazines that come out once a week, right? And then you've got the publications that come out once a month. We all look forward to that because it's a wrap of everything that they've collected over time. And now information is instant in seconds.
Yeah.
Like you said, we can research it through the AI, LMs, and the
Whatever.
web.
Heather can research.
Yeah. So as a leader, there's so much coming at you. So you also need to learn kind of, I think, how I will call it, center yourself and
Yeah.
find your grounding to understand the decisions I'm going to make today also will affect how the the public, my my team, my organization, and the world really is going to see it and take that information. And we all interpret information very differently. So
The expression used to be something like, I'm going to screw up these over and over and over again. Something like, don't ever do something that you wouldn't want to have to admit on the stand.
there you go.
Right? Like if you're ever in court and like you swear that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, that's gone now, because
Mhm.
nothing is sacred. Nothing can be hidden anymore. Nothing. I mean, everything's out there. And I don't know. Something tells me half the world is on a reality show anyway. And I don't get me started on why these people go on reality shows and then commit these horrible crimes. And like, I mean, another topic.
Another topic.
Um,
All right.
Okay, so
So
I'll be wholly transparent here. We've been working really hard, you and I, on this and also on our little baby, which is our workshops. I don't know if any of you guys know about what we're doing in our Glass House workshops, but this is where we're kind of bringing this forward for people who want to do the work. We have 3 levels of the workshop, and I'm going to hawk it here for just a moment, Daisy, if you don't mind.
or
Yeah, no, I mean, and if anybody's interested, if you love what we're talking about and want to participate in something that's a little more structured and with other colleagues, and we're getting ready to launch cohort 3. We're getting the information up here. You can click on this QR code and just get more information about it. We have 3 different levels depending on where you are in your business and where it makes sense. But the idea is that we want to really help people thrive, right? That's the ultimate goal. So we call it foundation, growth, and thrive, which is our 3rd level. And we put a lot of effort into whether you're a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, a new business, an existing business, a business that's doing really, really well and kind of wants to get a pulse check on what's happening and all the things that we talk about here in the Glass House, both from the inside and from the outside. Nothing makes me happier than seeing somebody else thrive. Like truly, right? That's the gift. When I was in the staffing business, and I would say to my teams every day, I'd say, I want you to make so much more money than I could ever imagine, right? Like, I just want you to be the most successful person in the world. And I think and I'll tell a super, super little quick story because I haven't talked enough today. When I was running this, I talked about running this global change management team. I had a member of my team who was fairly junior when I took over the team. She had been there for about a year. She was new to change management, and she was incredibly eager and excited and wanted to grow. And so I worked very closely with her. We actually ended up becoming really good friends. So you can be friends with the people who work for you. Um, and and she wanted to grow in the business. And this was a huge organization, and there was just loops and loops and loops to jump through in order for people to get promotions and more money and all that kind of stuff. It was almost impossible. And so I kept working with her, and I got her 1 promotion. And then she said to me, I really want to do something else. And I said, I will support you in wherever you want to go. When I saw that poster that we showed at the beginning, that really brought her to mind, because as much as I hated losing her day to day and not having her on my team and not doing the amazing work that she did for our clients, her ability to go on and do something more and something better was all that mattered to me. And so she got another opportunity, and I fully supported her moving forward. And now she's got a huge job and she's doing incredibly well. She's moved on to a big consulting firm, and I could not be more excited for her. And to me, that's what great leadership was. That even if it means that she can't be with me, I want her to be in the best place she can be,
Same,
right?
same thing, Shera. What I tell my when I had employees was that I want you to want my job.
Yes, I love that. Yeah. I want you to get my job. I
I
want you to
want you
have
to,
my job.
you know,
Yeah.
right? What's the next level do you need to be to get to where I am, kind of thing. So that's what I'm basically having them think. It's like, how did you, not that how did I get there? It doesn't matter how I got there. It's what are you going to do to get to want my job, right? So
Right.
one, it tests kind of their how their loyalty, not just loyalty, but their
Yeah.
determination to want to learn more and want to improve themselves. Really, that shows those two things for me. And then when they get to a certain level, like you said, have had a couple of those people where this one person really wanted my job so bad, but not in a bad way, that
Yeah.
he told me the process he was going through. He goes, I have this opportunity for a different position that's going to pay me 3 times more than what this organization pays. So he knew that the pay wasn't stuck with me. This pay was stuck with the organization, that if I could give him what he wanted, I would give it to him.
Of
Makes sense.
course.
So
Yeah.
he the payback, not payback, but the way he did it was, I want to be very transparent with you because I've learned so much from you. So I am going to look elsewhere,
Mhm.
FYI. And
Right.
then there's an opportunity that presented itself for more money and more opportunity for me to get to the level, right, that
Right.
I want to be. And so I gave him recommendation. I supported it. To this day, he still keeps in touch with me. To right now, he's building his own platform. He was also one of the people that knew about AI that I was able to converse with when I started with AI. And so I almost treat him like my son. So that, to your point, like you said, you support whoever was going to make that effort, and you see the talent that they have, and so you let them go and go to the world and explore. So I love that story, Shira. Thank you for
I
sharing.
think that's amazing. We've all heard the horror stories, right, of the boss that fires people when they find out that they're looking for another job, or, get really defensive and nervous because it's their own insecurities. Again, that self-fidelity, right,
Yeah,
Barbara? Heather, that doesn't allow somebody to know that, guess what? I can't move up if they can't move up, right? How am I going to go to another role or another level in the organization? So yeah. So I mean, if you're interested and you want to, and I'll say this, even if you want to just kind of connect with us, please do, right? Even if you don't want to do the workshop, if you want to just have a chat with us one-on-one, or you want to, but I'm going to make sure before the end of our hour that I put this up there and everybody knows how to reach us, because we would love for you guys to reach out to us on any of all the things. I would love to kind of leave today with a couple of kind of actions, or what do I want to call it? Like actions that people can do. Here's mine, right? I think you created one too, Daisy. But for me, if you are a leader, the next time you have your one-on-ones or you're with your team or whatever, don't say, hey, how you doing? What's going on? How's it going? La, 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 la. Say to them, I wrote this down. So what is the one thing that I am doing right now as your manager, as your leader, that is making your job harder than it needs to be? And then sit there and let them think and let them talk. And that's turning the table, right? Because if you really are a great leader, you're going to take that in and listen to what they have to say, and maybe say, hey, maybe you can't think of this right now. Take it home. Let's pick this up next week or tomorrow or whatever. None of this is perfect. I mean, we've all got our own stuff going on. So I think if you can ask that question, I don't know. I think that'd be pretty powerful. I'd love if anyone takes it on, if they tell me how that goes.
yeah. So to your point, Shira, I'm going to take that now to the outside world, right? So
Okay,
that's an
cool. Cool, cool, cool.
internal thing. So the outside world is in the world of not just marketing, but in the world of AI right now, your entity, yourself, your brand is you, right?
Right.
So the
Right.
first thing you ask, and you probably Googled yourself, right? And Google will come up with links on where you're found, right? That's a little bit different. But now with the AI mode, I want you to even ask on the browser, not just your that just type your name as itself. Just who is Daisy Watkins? Who is Rob Lowe? Whatever it is, or who is, or tell me about. I need you to do that. And then see what it gives you. Not just on the Google AI mode. Use the different LLMs and tell me if you find consistency or not. If you find consistency in all of them and they're telling you all the truths and the sources for them, then you've got it made as an entity. If there's a discrepancy, this is where you're going to see. Now, this is where you need to fix the outside, which
Okay.
means LLMs are reading it differently. So anyway, I'm going to stop there. This is a thought. So Shera.
I love that. No, I love that. I hope everybody will tell us if you do either or both, and how it works and what happens, and what the outcome of that is. I say this every week. I can't believe our hour is over. I think I'm actually a little bit over the hour, but whatever. We would love to have you as a guest if you're interested. We would love to hear your point of view. There's no right or wrong. Well, the guy that said, "Hey, little girl," he's not coming on. Ever, unless I can beat him up. But we'd love to hear what you have to think and kind of how this is impacting you. And if you, like I said, reach out to us in any way possible, we'd love to hear from everybody. This is a journey I never thought I'd be on in my life, and I'm loving every second of it. I mean, I'm having so much fun. And yeah, I mean, I want everyone to thrive. I want everyone to have every opportunity to do exactly what they want to do. I think that's what got me in staffing to begin with, right? I mean, that was the thing you and I immediately connected on.
You come up with staffing, right? And you came from the legal world and some general staffing. I came from the general staffing world, like industrial world, healthcare staffing world. Imagine all the people I've met and you've met through your lifetime. There's so much stories I don't even remember some of them. And there's a trigger, you know what I mean? But anyway, we never run out of conversation, Shera. I love it.
For sure.
I'm glad we have very engaged audiences today.
Yay. I can't wait to see all of you. Please reach out. Talk to us. Have a wonderful week, Daisy. Thank you as always for everything. I adore you. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you for joining. See you next week.